was held to strict standards at home, but my sister could do as she pleased, which is exactly why no one believed me when I said she stole $2,500 from our grandmother's emergency cash hidden in the cookie tin. I stood in Grandma Evelyn's living room, my hands trembling as I pointed at the empty tin on the coffee table, and watched my entire family turn their backs on me like I was the criminal. Haley sat on the couch, her face a perfect mask of shock and hurt, one hand pressed to her chest like I'd physically wounded her. My father Mason's jaw clenched, my mother Cassandra's eyes filled with disappointment, and my grandmother simply shook her head, her weathered hands clutching her cardigan. The silence was suffocating until Haley's voice cracked with manufactured tears. "How could you accuse me of something like this, Anna? On Grandma's birthday?" She stood up, wobbly on her feet like the victim of an assault, and my mother immediately rushed to her side. I watched Cassandra wrap protective arms around Haley, shooting me a look of pure disgust. My father stepped between us, his back to me, creating a physical barrier that said everything about where his loyalty lay. Grandma Evelyn sat frozen in her armchair, the birthday cake I'd spent hours baking forgotten on the dining table. Mark, my grandmother's neighbor who'd stopped by for cake, shifted uncomfortably by the door, clearly wishing he'd stayed home. Haley buried her face in our mother's shoulder, her body shaking with sobs that would have won her an Oscar. I caught it then, just for a split second, the way her eyes flicked toward me over Mom's shoulder, cold and calculating and completely dry. Then she squeezed them shut again and the tears resumed. I was the oldest daughter who'd followed every rule, graduated with honors, worked 2 jobs to put myself through state college while living at home to save money. Haley was the golden child who'd dropped out of community college after 1 semester, moved back home, and somehow convinced everyone she was finding herself. I'd watched her charm her way through life for 22 years, watched our parents excuse every failure, every lie, every broken promise because Haley just had such a free spirit. But I'd seen her that morning, seen her slip into Grandma's bedroom while everyone else was in the kitchen preparing lunch. I'd followed quietly and watched through the cracked door as she opened the nightstand, pulled out the tin, counted the bills with practiced efficiency, and stuffed them in her designer purse. The purse she claimed she'd saved up for with her part-time job at the boutique, where she mostly posted Instagram stories. "Anna, I think you should leave." My father's voice was granite. "You're upsetting your sister and your grandmother." "Dad, I saw her. Enough." Cassandra's voice cut through mine like a blade. "We raised you better than this. Jealousy is ugly, Anna." Jealousy. The word hit me like a slap. I wasn't jealous. I was tired. Tired of being held to impossible standards while Haley coasted. Tired of working 50-hour weeks while she took spa days. Tired of being blamed for having the audacity to tell the truth. Grandma Evelyn finally spoke, her voice small and frail. "Anna, sweetheart, maybe you're confused. Maybe you saw something else. Haley wouldn't do this." The worst part wasn't that they didn't believe me. The worst part was that I'd expected exactly this. This was the pattern of my entire life. Me being responsible, reliable, invisible, while Haley sparkled and stumbled and somehow always landed on her feet. I looked at each of them, memorizing this moment. My father's rigid back. My mother's arms wrapped around the real thief. My grandmother's disappointed eyes. Haley's trembling lip. Her performance flawless. "You're right," I said quietly, picking up my purse from the chair. "I'll leave." I walked out of that house with my jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached. Behind me, I heard Haley's voice, fragile and wounded. I can't believe she'd say that about me. I would never. I sat in my car for a long moment, hands gripping the steering wheel, watching through the window as my mother stroked Haley's hair. Then I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app, looking at the savings account I'd been building for 3 years. $12,000. Every penny earned from my job as a medical billing specialist and my weekend shifts at the bookstore. Money I'd planned to use for a down payment on my own apartment, a place where I could finally breathe without judgment. I thought about the tin. Grandma kept that money for emergencies. Medical bills, car repairs, the kind of unexpected expenses that could devastate someone on a fixed income. $2,500 wasn't just money. It was security. It was peace of mind. and Haley had taken it like it meant nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler, my co-worker, and one of the few people who knew the real situation at home. "How'd the birthday go?" I stared at the message, then looked back at the house. Through the window, I could see them gathered around Grandma now, probably comforting her, probably talking about how I'd always been so intense, so uptight, so jealous of my free-spirited sister. Something cold and clear settled in my chest. Not anger. Anger was hot and impulsive and stupid. This was different. This was calculation. This was certainty. I texted Tyler back. "Need your help with something. Are you free tomorrow?" "Always. What's up?" I smiled then, a real smile for the first time that day. "Research project. I need to track someone's spending habits. And I need it to be thorough. Because here's what my family didn't know. I wasn't just a medical billing specialist. I was the medical billing specialist who'd caught a billing fraud scheme at our hospital last year, the one who'd noticed patterns no one else saw, who documented everything until the evidence was irrefutable. I knew how to follow money. I knew how to build a case, and I knew exactly what Haley spent money on. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a notification from Instagram. Haley had just posted a photo, her and Mom, with the caption, "Family is everything. So grateful for people who love unconditionally." The comments were already pouring in. Hearts and emojis, and "You're so lucky to have such a supportive family." I saved the screenshot. Then I opened a new note on my phone and titled it Timeline. I started typing, documenting everything I remembered from that morning. The time I saw her enter the bedroom, the exact position of the tin, the way she'd counted the money. Then I scrolled back through her Instagram, months and months of posts. Designer bags, weekend trips, expensive brunches, concert tickets, all while supposedly working 15 hours a week at minimum wage. The math didn't work. It had never worked. But no one had ever bothered to look. I started a spreadsheet. Every post, every purchase, every lie. I'd give them 30 days, 1 month of Haley being Haley, spending money she didn't have, living the life she couldn't afford. 1 month of me watching, documenting, building something they couldn't ignore. My phone rang. It was Cassandra. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Then a text. "You owe your sister an apology." I didn't respond. I had work to do. I drove home to my tiny room in my parents' house, the room I'd lived in since childhood, while Haley had the master bedroom upstairs with the walk-in closet and private bathroom. I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. Then I started digging. By midnight, I had the beginning of something beautiful, something irrefutable, something that would burn their perfect narrative to the ground. And I smiled. The next morning, I met Tyler at a coffee shop 3 blocks from the hospital where we both worked. He slid into the booth across from me, his dark eyes curious behind wire-rimmed glasses. Tyler was 32, methodical, and had helped me unravel the hospital fraud case by building data models that turned suspicions into proof. "So, what are we hunting?" he asked, pulling out his laptop. I showed him Haley's Instagram. "My sister. She stole $2,500 from my grandmother yesterday. Nobody believes me because I'm the uptight one and she's the golden child. I need to prove where her money actually comes from." Tyler scrolled through months of posts, his expression shifting from neutral to incredulous. "She works part-time retail? 15 hours a week at Heather's Boutique downtown, minimum wage." He pulled up a calculator. "That's maybe $250 a week before taxes. Call it $900 a month." He gestured at the screen showing Haley at a beachside resort. "This hotel runs $300 a night minimum." Exactly. So either she's got another income source or she's stealing. I'm betting on stealing, and I'm betting Grandma's tin isn't the first time. Tyler's fingers were already flying across his keyboard. "Give me her full name and birth date. I'll run a background check, see if there are any credit cards, loans, anything public record." I provided the information, then pulled out my own notebook. I'm tracking every purchase she posts about, building a timeline, but I need more than Instagram photos. I need bank statements, transaction records, something concrete. That's harder without access to her accounts. Tyler paused. Unless she's stupid enough to use her accounts on shared devices or cloud services with weak passwords. She uses mom's laptop sometimes, logs into her accounts. Does your mother leave it unlocked? Always. Tyler grinned. Then we start there, but carefully. We document, we don't touch anything. Screenshot everything, note dates and times. Make it bulletproof. I spent the next week playing the perfect daughter. I apologized to Haley at a family dinner, my voice sweet and contrite, watching her lap up the victory. She hugged me, all forgiveness and grace, while our parents beamed with approval. Cassandra even teared up at the reconciliation. I knew you'd see reason, my mother whispered to me in the kitchen afterward. Haley is sensitive, sweetheart. You have to be gentle with her. I nodded and smiled and helped with dishes while Haley lounged on the couch scrolling her phone. When everyone went to bed, I waited until 2 a.m, then crept downstairs to my mother's home office. The laptop sat on the desk, screen dark, but unlocked. I had 90 minutes before my father's alarm went off for his early shift at the construction site. I opened Chrome. Haley's Gmail was still logged in. I forwarded her bank statements from the past 6 months to a burner email address I'd created, then deleted the forwarded messages from her sent folder. 53 minutes elapsed. I found her Venmo account next, screenshotted every transaction going back a year. 31 minutes left. I checked her Amazon account, her Afterpay, her credit card statements. What I found made my hands shake. Haley had $17,000 in credit card debt across 4 different cards. She'd opened 3 of them in the past year. The minimum payments alone were eating up her entire paycheck. But the purchases kept coming. Designer clothes, jewelry, weekend trips, expensive dinners. And then, buried in her Venmo history, I found it. 23 separate payments to someone named Logan, each one exactly $250, marked rent plus utilities. Haley wasn't paying rent at home. She lived with our parents for free. I took screenshots of everything, backed them up to 3 different cloud services, and closed the laptop with 12 minutes to spare. Back in my room, I opened my spreadsheet and started calculating. The numbers painted a devastating picture. In 6 months, Haley had spent $38,000 while earning approximately $5,400. The math was impossible unless she was stealing, and now I had a pattern. Small amounts, consistent. 20 here, 50 there. Amounts my parents wouldn't miss from their joint account if they weren't paying attention. Thursday afternoon, I stopped by Grandma Evelyn's house with groceries. She looked tired, older than her 78 years. We sat at her kitchen table drinking tea. "How are you feeling, Grandma?" "Oh, fine. But her hands trembled slightly around the cup. "I've been thinking about getting one of those medical alert systems. You know, in case I fall." "That's a good idea. They're not too expensive." She laughed, but it sounded hollow. "Everything's expensive these days, sweetheart. I'm managing, but it's tight." Because Haley had stolen her emergency fund. The fund meant for exactly this kind of expense. "Grandma, about the money..." "Let's not talk about that, Anna. It's water under the bridge. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. I probably just forgot where I put it." But she wouldn't meet my eyes. She knew exactly what had happened. She just couldn't bear to believe it. I drove home and found a text from Tyler. Background check came back. "Your sister opened a new credit card 3 weeks ago. Limit of $5, $1. She maxed it in 9 days." 9 days. That was just before Grandma's birthday. Just before the tin went empty. My phone buzzed again. Haley had posted a photo of a new designer handbag with the caption, "Treating myself because I deserve it." I clicked on the brand's website. The bag cost $1,800. That night at dinner, Haley showed off her new purchase. Our mother admired it, running her fingers over the leather. Our father barely looked up from his plate, too exhausted from work to care about handbags. I watched Haley's performance, the way she described saving up for months, the way she deflected when I asked which boutique sale had made it affordable. "Anna, don't interrogate your sister," Cassandra said sharply. "Haley works hard for her money." I nodded and went quiet, but I pulled out my phone under the table and checked the boutique's employee discount policy. Even with a 60% employee discount, Haley couldn't have afforded that bag on her salary. Not without stealing. After dinner, I met with Mark, Grandma's neighbor, at a diner near his house. He was 65, retired from law enforcement, and sharp as ever. I'd asked him for coffee under the guise of checking on Grandma. "Your grandmother seems stressed," Mark said, stirring sugar into his coffee. "I've noticed she's been home more, skipping her book club meetings. Says she's tired, but I think she's worried about money." "She is worried about money. Someone stole $2,500 from her emergency fund." Mark's expression hardened. "When?" "Last Sunday, during her birthday party." "And you know who?" "I know, but nobody believes me." Mark was quiet for a moment. "What do you need?" I pulled out my phone and showed him everything. The spreadsheets, the screenshots, the timeline. He studied it all with the methodical focus of someone who'd spent 30 years building cases. "This is solid preliminary work," he said finally. "But you need more. You need to connect the dots between her spending and your family's accounts. You need proof she's accessing money that isn't hers." "I'm working on it." "Work faster. People like your sister, they escalate. The debt gets worse. The stealing gets bolder. Someone's going to get hurt worse than a missing $2,500. He was right. I could feel it. The way Haley's spending was accelerating, the way her debt was spiraling. She was drowning, and she'd pull everyone down with her before she'd admit she needed help. I had 2 weeks before my parents' anniversary trip, a cruise they'd been planning for years. They'd be gone for 10 days, leaving me and Haley alone in the house. 10 days of opportunity, 10 days to find the evidence I needed. But Haley was already making moves. I discovered it Sunday night when Cassandra pulled me aside after dinner. "Anna, your sister told me she's been feeling uncomfortable around you. She says you've been watching her, acting strange." So it begins. Haley was trying to preemptively discredit me, planting seeds of doubt. "I haven't been watching her, Mom. I've been busy with work. She says you went through her room last week." I hadn't, but I could see where this was going. "That's not true." Cassandra sighed, her disappointment palpable. "I want to believe you, sweetheart, but you did accuse her of stealing. Maybe you should talk to someone. This obsession isn't healthy." Obsession. Haley had chosen her words carefully, painting me as unhinged, unstable. I could fight it, defend myself, but that would only make me look more obsessed. "You're right," I said quietly. "I'll back off." But I wouldn't. I'd just be more careful. That night, I upgraded my documentation system. Every screenshot got a timestamp, a source verification, a backup. I created a master timeline linking Haley's posts to her spending to the dates money went missing from family accounts. I was building something irrefutable, something so airtight that not even my parents' willful blindness could deny it. Haley thought she was clever, trying to make me look crazy. She had no idea what was coming. The week before my parents' cruise, Haley turned up the pressure. She started leaving her laptop open around the house, browser history conspicuously cleared, then mentioning loudly to our mother that someone had been using her computer. She misplaced her credit card, found it in the kitchen, and suggested with wide-eyed concern that maybe she should start locking her bedroom door. Cassandra ate it up. "You're right to be cautious, honey. I don't think Anna would actually do anything, but better safe than sorry." I smiled and nodded, playing the chastened daughter, while internally documenting every manipulation. Haley was getting sloppy in her panic, and sloppy people made mistakes. Tyler called me Thursday evening. "I've been tracking the Logan payments, ran the Venmo username through some databases. Logan Chen, 26, lives in the Riverside Apartments downtown. I did some digging. He's not her landlord. He's her boyfriend." Boyfriend? Haley had never mentioned dating anyone. Serious boyfriend from what I can tell. They've been together at least 8 months. He's tagged in old Instagram posts she's since deleted, but the internet remembers everything. And here's the interesting part. He works at a luxury car dealership. I'm betting she's been paying for dates way outside her budget to keep up appearances. That explained the expensive restaurants, the weekend getaways, the constant designer accessories. Haley was trying to look like she belonged in a world she couldn't afford. Does Logan know she's living at home rent-free and stealing from family? Doubtful. She's probably told him she has money. Women like your sister, they build entire fantasy lives. I thought about that. Haley's whole existence was a performance, and she'd convinced everyone, our parents, her boyfriend, her social media followers, that she was successful, independent, thriving. The truth would destroy that carefully constructed image. I need access to the home office again. Mom and Dad leave for their cruise Saturday morning. That gives me 10 days. Be surgical about it. In and out, document everything, leave no trace. Saturday arrived with chaotic energy. Cassandra triple-checked their luggage while Mason loaded the car, both of them anxious and excited. They hadn't taken a real vacation in 5 years. I hugged them goodbye, assured them I'd take care of everything, and waved as they drove away. Haley emerged from her room an hour later. Makeup perfect, outfit expensive. I'm staying at a friend's place for the week. You'll have the house to yourself. Which friend? Her smile tightened. Why does it matter? It doesn't. Just asking. Heather, from work. We're having a girls' week. She grabbed her weekend bag, Louis Vuitton, $1,200 retail, and left without another word. I waited 30 minutes, then checked her room. She'd taken enough clothes for a week, but she'd also taken her laptop and tablet. She was being careful now, keeping evidence close. But she'd forgotten about the home office. I spent Sunday systematically going through every file on my mother's computer. Cassandra wasn't careful with passwords. She used the same one for everything, a combination of my father's name and their anniversary. I found the family bank account records going back 3 years. What I discovered made me sick. Small withdrawals, always under $100, scattered across 3 years. 20 here, 50 there, 80 the next week. Amounts my parents wouldn't notice in the normal flow of household expenses. I cross-referenced the dates with Haley's social media posts, her credit card statements, her Venmo history. Every single withdrawal correlated with a purchase she'd made within 48 hours. She'd been stealing from our parents for 3 years, systematically, carefully, and she'd taken approximately $47,000. I felt like I'd been punched. This wasn't opportunistic theft. This was calculated, long-term fraud. Haley had been robbing our family while smiling at dinner, while accepting praise for being free-spirited, while watching our father work 60-hour weeks. Monday morning, I called Anthony, a lawyer I'd met through hospital work. We'd collaborated on medical malpractice cases, and I trusted his discretion. I need advice about financial elder abuse and family theft, hypothetically. We met for coffee. I showed him everything, the spreadsheets, the bank records, the timeline. He studied it all with professional detachment. This isn't hypothetical, is it? No. You have more than enough for criminal charges. Elder abuse, theft, fraud. Your sister could face serious jail time. I don't want her in jail. I want my family to see who she really is. I want them to stop enabling her. Anthony leaned back. Then you need irrefutable public exposure. Documentation is good, but people can dismiss documents. You need something they can't ignore, can't rationalize away. Like what? A confession? Or catching her in the act? Something visceral that breaks through their denial. I thought about that. Haley wouldn't confess, not willingly. But she was desperate now, her debt spiraling, her income stream threatened by my parents being gone. What if she tries to steal again? What if I give her an opportunity and document it happening? Anthony's expression was carefully neutral. If you're going to do something like that, make sure you have witnesses. Make sure the evidence is unimpeachable. And make sure you're ready for the fallout. This will destroy your family dynamic. It's already destroyed. I'm just making everyone else see it. Tuesday night, I visited Grandma Evelyn. I found her in the kitchen, sorting pills into a weekly organizer, her hands shaking slightly. Grandma, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. Have you noticed money going missing before? Before the 2,500? She was quiet for a long time. Then softly, sometimes I think maybe I miscounted. $20 here, 40 there. I'm old, my memory isn't what it was. It's not your memory. Someone's been stealing from you. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to believe that. I can't believe that one of my granddaughters would... Not one of your granddaughters. One specific granddaughter. And it's not just you. It's Mom and Dad, too. I showed her everything on my laptop. The timeline, the correlations, the bank statements. I watched her face crumble as the evidence mounted. "Oh, Anna. Oh no. I'm going to fix this, Grandma. But I need you to trust me. And I need you to do something for me." Wednesday afternoon, I went to Heather's boutique. The owner, Heather Morrison, was 45, sharp-eyed, and ran her business with precision. I'd called ahead, asked for a private conversation. "You're Haley's sister?" she said, gesturing me to her office. "I am. I need to know about her employment here." Heather's expression was carefully professional. "I can't discuss employee details." "I'm not asking for gossip. I'm asking because my sister has been stealing from my family, and I need to verify her income claims. She says she works 15 hours a week here." Heather was quiet for a moment. Then, "She works approximately 10 hours a week, and she's missed her last 4 shifts. I've been documenting it for termination proceedings." 10 hours, not 15. Even less money than I'd calculated. "Has she stolen from the store?" "I can't prove it, but inventory has been inconsistent. Small items, designer accessories, nothing I could definitively trace to her, but the timing is suspicious." I thanked her and left, adding this to my documentation. Haley was stealing from everyone. Family, employer, probably her boyfriend too, if he was paying for things she claimed to cover. Thursday evening, my phone rang. It was Cassandra calling from the cruise ship. "Hi, sweetheart. How's everything at home?" "Fine, Mom. How's the vacation?" "Wonderful. Your father actually relaxed for the first time in years." She paused. "Haley mentioned she'd be staying with a friend. Have you heard from her?" "No. Why?" "Oh, I just wanted to make sure you girls were okay. You know how I worry." After we hung up, I stared at my phone. Haley had called our mother, probably checking if I'd said anything, maintaining her perfect daughter performance even from whatever hotel room Logan was paying for. Friday morning, I got a text from Tyler. "Your sister just maxed out another credit card. Found the application record. She lied about her income, claims she makes $4,000 a month. Credit fraud on top of everything else. Haley was imploding, and she was taking everyone down with her." I spent Friday setting up the final pieces. I installed a small security camera in the home office, angled toward the desk. I created a new document on my mother's computer, a fake spreadsheet labeled Anniversary Cruise Fund, remaining balance $6, $300, and left it prominently displayed. I told Grandma Evelyn to mention during her weekly phone call with Haley that she'd just received her tax refund, $3,200, which she was keeping in cash in her nightstand drawer because the bank was too far to visit until next week. I was setting bait. The question was whether Haley was desperate enough to bite. Saturday afternoon, I got my answer. My phone pinged with a motion alert from the security camera. I pulled up the feed and watched Haley let herself into the house, glance around to make sure she was alone, then head straight for the home office. I was already in my car, 15 minutes away. Tyler was with me, his own phone recording the live feed. We watched as Haley sat down at the computer, opened the bank account, and stared at the fake cruise fund spreadsheet. "She's going to do it," Tyler breathed. "She's actually going to do it." Haley pulled up the bank's transfer page. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Come on," I whispered. "Show everyone who you really are." Haley initiated a transfer. $3,000 from the cruise fund to her personal checking account. I called Grandma Evelyn. "Check your nightstand." 2 minutes later, my grandmother called back, her voice shaking. "The money's gone. All of it." "I know. Call the police. Tell them you want to report a theft. Tell them you have the suspect on camera." "Anna." "Do it, Grandma. It's time." The police arrived at Grandma Evelyn's house within 40 minutes. I met them there with my laptop, my spreadsheets, my documentation of 3 years of theft. Mark stood beside my grandmother, his retired detective presence lending weight to the complaint. Officer Chen, no relation to Logan, listened with increasing focus as I laid out the pattern. "This isn't a one-time incident. This is systematic financial abuse spanning 3 years, multiple victims, and approximately $52,000. "That's a felony," Officer Chen said. "Multiple felonies, actually. Who's the suspect?" "My sister, Haley Morrison. She's at my parents' house right now. I have her on camera committing the most recent theft. She transferred $3,000 from my parents' account less than an hour ago. and she took $3,200 in cash from my grandmother's nightstand this afternoon. The officer reviewed the security footage I'd provided, watched Haley make the transfer, checked the timestamp. This is solid evidence. We'll need to interview her. I can tell you exactly where she is. We drove in convoy, police cruiser, my car, Mark's truck. I texted Tyler. It's happening. Meet us at the house. Haley's Mercedes, a lease she couldn't afford, I'd later discover, was parked in the driveway. Through the front window, I could see her on the living room couch, scrolling her phone without a care in the world. She'd just stolen over $6,000 and she was checking Instagram. Officer Chen knocked. I used my key to unlock the door and we walked in together. Haley looked up, her face cycling through confusion, fear, and then forced indignation in 3 seconds flat. Anna, what's going on? Why are the police here? Haley Morrison, Officer Chen stepped forward. We need to talk about some financial irregularities. Financial what? I don't understand. You transferred $3,000 from your parents' joint account approximately 90 minutes ago. You also took $3,200 in cash from Evelyn Morrison's residence. We have video evidence of both incidents. The color drained from Haley's face. That's insane. Anna, what did you tell them? The truth. I told them you've been stealing from our family for 3 years. You're crazy. Mom and Dad know about the transfer. I asked permission. They're on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. No cell service for another 2 days. Try again. Officer Chen held up a phone showing the security footage. Is this you? Haley stared at the screen, watching herself commit the theft, and something in her expression cracked. I was going to pay it back. I just needed... It's a loan, not stealing. What about Grandma's cash? Was that a loan too? I don't know what you're talking about. Mark stepped forward then, his voice carrying the weight of 3 decades in law enforcement. Haley, I've been monitoring Evelyn's house for months. We have you on camera entering at 2:17 p.m., going upstairs, and leaving 8 minutes later with a bundle you didn't have when you entered. The money is gone. Your sister documented the serial numbers. I had. Every bill in that bait stack had been photocopied. Haley's breathing quickened. She looked around wildly, as if searching for an escape route, and then her phone rang. She grabbed it like a lifeline. Logan? Baby, I need you to come get me. There's been a misunderstanding. I heard Logan's voice through the speaker, tinny but clear. What the hell, Haley? My credit card got declined. You said you'd pay me back last week. I will, I just need a few more days. I've been covering your rent for 4 months. You said you had a high-paying job. You said your family was wealthy. They are. My sister is just being vindictive. Your sister? The one who told me you live with your parents? The one who sent me bank statements showing you're $40,000 in debt? Haley's eyes snapped to me, wide with horror and fury. You contacted Logan? You had no right. I had every right. He deserved to know he's been dating a fraud. Logan was still talking, his voice rising. Are you seriously telling me you've been lying about everything? Your job, your money, your apartment? Baby, please, we're done. Don't contact me again. The line went dead. Haley stood there, phone clutched in her hand, her perfect facade crumbling in real time. Then she turned on me, all pretense gone. You vindictive bitch. You're jealous because I'm happy and you're miserable, so you had to ruin everything. I'm ruining everything? My voice was ice. You stole $52,000 from our family. You stole Grandma's emergency money while she's choosing between medication and food. You've been committing credit fraud, lying to your boyfriend, stealing from your employer. I didn't ruin your life, Haley. You did. Nobody will believe you. Mom and Dad will take my side, they always do. They're not here, and when they get back, they'll see the bank statements showing $3,000 missing from their cruise fund. They'll see the police report. They'll see 3 years of evidence that you've been systematically robbing them. Officer Chen interrupted. Ms. Morrison, I need you to come to the station for questioning. You have the right to remain silent. I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. It's your parents' house, and you're suspected of felony theft. We can do this voluntarily, or I can arrest you right now. Your choice. Haley looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw the moment she realized I'd won. I'd documented everything. I'd built a case she couldn't charm her way out of. I'd destroyed the fantasy life she'd constructed. "I hate you," she whispered. "I know. But I'm not the one going to the police station." Tyler arrived as the officers were escorting Haley to the cruiser. He had a folder thick with printouts, every bank statement, every credit card bill, every Instagram post with price tags attached. We'd been building this case for weeks, and now it was airtight. "Her boutique employer wants to press charges too," Tyler said quietly. "They reviewed their inventory after I sent them the timeline. She's stolen approximately $8,000 in merchandise over the past year." I watched through the window as Haley sat in the back of the police car, her head in her hands. My phone started buzzing. Notifications from Instagram. Haley's followers were commenting on her latest post, the one with the designer handbag. "Where are you? Are you okay? Why are the police at your house?" Someone had seen the cruiser and posted about it. The performance was over. The audience was watching the real show now. Grandma Evelyn touched my arm. "Are you all right, sweetheart?" "I'm fine, Grandma. Are you?" "I'm sad, but I'm also relieved. I've been afraid for months that I was losing my mind, forgetting where I put money, miscounting bills. Knowing it wasn't me. That's worth something." Mark nodded. "She's been gaslighting all of you, making you doubt yourselves so you wouldn't see what she was doing." The police car pulled away. I stood in the driveway and called my parents' cruise emergency line. It cost $60 to connect the call, but some things couldn't wait. "Anna, what's wrong?" Cassandra's voice was immediate panic. "Mom, I need you to check your bank account, the cruise fund." "Why? What happened?" "Just check it, please." I heard rustling, whispered conversation with my father. Then silence. Then my mother's voice, small and broken. "Where's the $3,000? Anna, what happened to the money?" "Haley stole it. This afternoon. She also stole $3,200 from Grandma. The police just took her in for questioning." "The police? Anna, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything, Mom. Haley did this. She's been stealing from you for 3 years. I have proof. Bank statements, security footage, everything." 3 years? That's impossible. She would never. "Check your account history. Look for small withdrawals you didn't make. $20, $50, $80. Go back 3 years and add them up." Silence. Then my father's voice, gruff and hard. "Cassandra, pull up the account." I waited. Heard my mother gasp. Heard papers rustling. Heard my father swear quietly. $47,000, Mason said finally. She took $47,000 over 3 years. Plus the grandmother's money, plus the boutique inventory, plus the credit fraud, I added. The total is around $60,000. My mother was crying. "How could she do this? How could we not see it?" "Because you didn't want to see it. Because it was easier to believe I was jealous than to believe Haley was a thief." My voice was steady, factual. "The police have all the evidence. They're probably charging her with multiple felonies. You need to decide if you're going to enable this or let her face consequences." "She's our daughter." "I'm your daughter too, Mom. And I've spent my whole life being invisible while you made excuses for her. Not anymore." I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking, adrenaline finally catching up with me. Tyler put his hand on my shoulder. "You did the right thing." "I know. So why do I feel like throwing up?" "Because it's your family. But they needed to see this. They needed the truth." That night, I sat in the quiet house and compiled everything into a final report. Every transaction, every theft, every lie. I sent copies to my parents, to Grandma Evelyn, to the police, to Anthony the lawyer. I backed it up in 7 different places. Then I opened Instagram and posted a single sentence. "Sometimes the person everyone thinks is perfect is actually the person destroying everything behind the scenes." Within an hour, 3 of Haley's friends had texted me asking what happened. I didn't respond. The truth would come out on its own. It always did, eventually. My phone rang at midnight. Unknown number. I answered. "You destroyed my life." Haley's voice was raw, wrecked. No, you destroyed your own life. I just made everyone else see it. They're charging me with 6 felonies. 6. I could go to prison. You committed 6 felonies. Actions have consequences. Mom and Dad will help me. They'll get me a lawyer. They're broke, Haley. You stole their cruise fund. You stole their savings. There's no money for lawyers. You're on your own. The silence was long. Then quietly, I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. I hung up. Blocked her number. Sat in the darkness and finally let myself feel it. The relief, the vindication, the bone-deep satisfaction of watching someone who'd hurt me face real consequences. Tomorrow my parents would fly home early. Tomorrow the reckoning would continue. Tomorrow, Haley would have to explain herself to a family that finally couldn't ignore the truth. But tonight, I'd won. My parents arrived home 48 hours later, their cruise cut short, their faces haggard. Mason looked like he'd aged a decade. Cassandra's eyes were red and swollen. They found me in the kitchen making coffee, and for a long moment, nobody spoke. We saw the bank statements, my father said finally. All of them. Okay. We met with the police, saw the security footage, talked to Mark and to Grandma. His voice cracked. How long have you known? I suspected for years. I proved it over the past 3 weeks. Cassandra sank into a chair. Why didn't you tell us sooner? I tried, at Grandma's birthday. You called me jealous and threw me out, remember? She flinched. We were wrong. We should have listened. Yes, you should have. Mason looked at the floor. Your sister is being arraigned tomorrow. The DA is pushing for the maximum sentence because of the elder abuse component. She could get 7 years. Good. Anna, no, Dad. Don't ask me to feel sorry for her. She stole $60,000 from this family. She gaslit Grandma into thinking she had dementia. She ruined your retirement savings. She lied to everyone for 3 years. She deserves every second of whatever sentence she gets. She's asking if you'll testify on her behalf, Cassandra whispered. Character witness. Tell the judge she's not a bad person, just made mistakes. Absolutely not. I'm testifying for the prosecution. My mother looked up, shocked. You can't do that to your own sister. Watch me. Haley made her choices. She doesn't get to escape consequences because we share DNA. The arraignment was brutal. Haley stood before the judge in an orange jumpsuit, her designer clothes replaced with county-issue cotton, her makeup gone, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked small and scared, and nothing like the golden child who'd charmed everyone for 22 years. The prosecutor laid out the charges. 6 counts of felony theft, 3 counts of credit fraud, 2 counts of financial elder abuse, 1 count of identity theft for using our mother's information to open a credit card. Bail was set at $50,000. Haley's eyes found mine in the courtroom. She mouthed, "Please." I looked away. She couldn't make bail. Our parents had no money. She'd stolen it all. Logan wanted nothing to do with her. Her friends scattered when the full scope of her crimes went public. Heather's boutique pressed charges, adding retail theft to the list. Haley spent 3 weeks in county jail before taking a plea deal. 4 years in state prison, 10 years probation, mandatory restitution of $63,000 plus 20% interest, and permanent forfeiture of any inheritance from our parents or grandmother. The sentencing hearing was standing room only. Instagram had exploded with the story. The perfect influencer exposed as a fraud. The golden child revealed as a criminal. Former friends testified about money Haley had borrowed and never returned. Logan detailed the thousands he'd spent on a relationship built on lies. The boutique owner presented inventory records showing systematic theft. I testified last. I presented every spreadsheet, every bank statement, every timeline correlation. I showed the judge how Haley had targeted the most vulnerable: our elderly grandmother, our overworked parents, her trusting boyfriend. I explained the gaslighting, the manipulation, the years of making everyone doubt themselves. Your Honor, I concluded, my sister didn't make mistakes. She made choices. Calculated, deliberate choices to steal from people who loved her. She chose luxury over integrity. She chose Instagram likes over family. She chose lies over truth, and now she needs to face the reality she created. The judge sentenced her to 4 years in state prison. Haley cried. Cassandra sobbed. Mason sat stone-faced. I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. As they led Haley away in handcuffs, she looked at me one last time. I hope you're happy. I am, I said. I really am. The fallout was immediate and comprehensive. Haley's Instagram account got suspended after hundreds of reports for fraud and scamming. Her followers evaporated overnight. The designer brands she'd tagged deleted her posts. The influencer lifestyle she'd built turned to ashes. But the damage to our family went deeper. Cassandra spiraled into depression, unable to reconcile the daughter she'd thought she had with the criminal now in prison. Mason threw himself into overtime work, trying to rebuild the retirement savings Haley had destroyed. They moved out of their house into a smaller apartment, selling everything they could to cover the restitution payments the court had ordered them to help with. I helped them move. Watched my childhood home get emptied, box by box. Found Haley's room exactly as she'd left it. Designer clothes still hanging in the closet, makeup strewn across the vanity, the Louis Vuitton bag sitting on the shelf like a trophy. What should we do with her things? Cassandra asked, standing in the doorway. Sell them. All of it. Put the money toward restitution. They were gifts, though, from birthdays, from money she stole. It's all stolen property, Mom. Sell it. We held an estate sale. Haley's designer wardrobe, her handbags, her jewelry, her electronics, everything went to strangers for pennies on the dollar. The irony wasn't lost on me. All the things she'd valued more than family sold off like garbage. The sale raised $11,000. It barely made a dent in what she owed. Grandma Evelyn recovered slowly. The money was gone, the trust was shattered, but at least she knew she wasn't losing her mind. Mark checked on her daily. I visited twice a week. We never talked about Haley unless Grandma brought it up, which she rarely did. I keep thinking I should visit her, my grandmother said once, sitting in her kitchen with tea growing cold between us. She's my granddaughter. I should forgive her. You don't owe her forgiveness, Grandma. Forgiveness isn't mandatory. The church says, the church doesn't get to decide how you feel about being robbed. Haley stole your security, your peace of mind, your emergency fund. She made you doubt your own memory. You don't have to forgive that if you don't want to. Grandma was quiet for a long time, then, I don't want to. Is that terrible? No, it's honest. 6 months after the sentencing, I ran into one of Haley's former friends at the grocery store, Heather from the boutique. Different Heather, not the owner. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. Anna, hi, I wanted to say, I'm sorry. For not believing you. For thinking you were just jealous. It's fine. It's not, though. We all enabled her. We saw the red flags and ignored them because she was fun, you know? She made everything seem glamorous. We didn't want to see that it was all fake. People see what they want to see. Have you talked to her since she went in? No, and I won't. Heather nodded. She writes letters to everyone, apologizing, explaining, asking for support. I threw mine away. Good. I never read Haley's letters. My parents forwarded them to me. Long, rambling things about how prison had changed her, how she understood now, how she wanted to make amends. I deleted them without opening them. Apologies were cheap. Restitution was what mattered, and she'd never be able to repay what she'd taken. Tyler and I celebrated my promotion at work, senior medical billing analyst with a significant raise. We went to an expensive restaurant, the kind Haley used to post about, and I paid with money I'd earned honestly. You did it, Tyler said, raising his glass. You brought down the untouchable golden child. I didn't bring her down. She brought herself down. I just made sure everyone was watching when she fell. Still, how does it feel? I thought about that. About Haley in prison. About my parents struggling to rebuild. About the family dinners that would never happen again. The holidays that would always have a gaping absence. The relationships permanently fractured. It feels right, I said finally. It feels like justice. And it did. Because the truth was worth the cost. The truth was worth everything. 3 months later, I moved into my own apartment. Small, modest, but mine. Bought with money I'd saved, earned through work I'd done, built on a foundation of honesty instead of lies. I invited Grandma Evelyn over for dinner, cooked her favorite meal, showed her around the space. "I'm proud of you, Anna," she said, standing in my little kitchen. "You stood up when it was hard. You told the truth when no one wanted to hear it. I learned from you, Grandma. You taught me that integrity matters more than being liked." She hugged me, and I felt something settle in my chest. Peace, maybe, or vindication, or just the quiet satisfaction of watching the world finally work the way it was supposed to. Haley had 3.5 years left on her sentence. 3.5 years of consequences. 3.5 years of facing what she'd done. And I had the rest of my life, built on truth instead of lies, on work instead of theft, on strength instead of manipulation. I'd won. Not because I'd destroyed Haley, she'd destroyed herself, but because I'd refused to let her destroy me too. That was enough. 2 years into Haley's sentence, I sat in my apartment reading the final restitution report. The court had liquidated everything, her remaining possessions, her seized bank accounts, even her car lease buyout. The total recovery was $19,300. She still owed $43,700 plus accumulating interest. She'd be paying it off for the rest of her life. My phone buzzed. Cassandra calling. We talked maybe once a month now, stilted conversations that carefully avoided mentioning Haley unless absolutely necessary. "Hi, Mom. Your sister is eligible for early release. Good behavior. They're reviewing her case next month." I set down the report. "Okay. She'll need a place to stay. Transition housing. Your father and I are in the 1-bedroom now. We don't have space." "No. Anna, she's going to be your sister forever. And I'm going to be the person she tried to make look crazy forever." The answer is no, Mom. She can figure it out herself. Where is she supposed to go? Halfway house, women's shelter, park bench, I don't care. She made her choices. Cassandra was quiet for a moment. Then, "You've become hard." "No, Mom. I've become honest. There's a difference." I hung up and blocked the number. I was done being guilted for refusing to save someone who'd spent years destroying everyone around her. Haley got released 4 weeks later. I didn't go to the prison. Didn't send a care package. Didn't offer support. I heard through Grandma Evelyn that she'd found a room in a halfway house, got a job washing dishes at a diner, was required to check in with her parole officer twice weekly. She'd violated probation within 3 months. Failed to make a restitution payment because she'd spent the money on new clothes. Back to prison for 6 months. When she got out the second time, she called me from a borrowed phone. I almost didn't answer. "What do you want, Haley?" "I'm sorry. I know you don't believe me, but I am. I was awful to you. I stole from everyone who loved me. I ruined everything." Her voice sounded different, tired, older, hollow. "I just wanted you to know I understand now. What I did. Who I was." "Good. Hang on to that understanding. I'm trying to rebuild. Get a better job, save money, pay everyone back." "You'll never pay everyone back. You can't repay what you took from Grandma's peace of mind or Mom and Dad's trust. Money is the least of what you stole." "I know, but I'm trying." "That's between you and them, not me. Will you ever forgive me?" I looked out my apartment window at the city below, thought about the life I'd built, the promotion I'd earned, the respect I'd gained, the peace I'd found. Thought about Grandma Evelyn sleeping soundly now, her money in a bank account Haley couldn't touch. Thought about my parents, older and wiser, and finally seeing clearly. "No," I said simply. "I don't think I will." "That's fair. I wanted to try." "Trying doesn't erase what you did. Good luck with your life, Haley." I hung up and deleted her number. Again. 5 months later, I got engaged. Tyler proposed on a hiking trail overlooking the valley. No Instagram-worthy beach resort. No designer ring I couldn't afford. Just honesty and love and a future built on truth. I didn't invite Haley to the wedding. Didn't send an announcement. Didn't consider it for even a moment. My mother asked if I'd reconsider. She's still your sister. And she still stole $60,000 from our family. Some things don't get fixed with time, Mom. The wedding was small, intimate, perfect. Grandma Evelyn cried during the ceremony. Mark walked me down the aisle since my father and I had never quite rebuilt what Haley had broken between us. My coworkers came, my real friends, the people who'd supported me through everything. No golden child stealing the spotlight, no designer dress bought with stolen money, no performance for Instagram followers who'd long since forgotten her name. Just real people celebrating a real relationship built on real love. I heard later that Haley had seen the wedding photos somehow, probably through a mutual acquaintance who didn't know better. She'd sent another letter to my parents' address. I never read it. Burned it in the fireplace without opening the envelope. 2 years after my wedding, I became the head of revenue integrity at the hospital. I purchased a house, 3 bedrooms, beautiful yard, completely within my budget because I'd saved responsibly for years. Grandma Evelyn helped me plant roses in the garden. "You did well for yourself, sweetheart," she said, kneeling in the dirt beside me. "Despite everything. Or maybe because of it." "Because of it," I agreed. Haley taught me exactly who I didn't want to be. Have you heard from her recently? No. Why? Your mother mentioned she'd gotten engaged. Some man she met at her new job. Apparently she's turned her life around. I felt nothing. No anger, no jealousy, no curiosity. Just complete indifference. Good for her, I guess. You really don't care anymore, do you? No, Grandma, I really don't. She's not my problem. She's not my responsibility. She's just nothing to me. And she was. Haley had become a cautionary tale I sometimes told at dinner parties. My sister stole $60,000 from our family and went to prison. A story that made people gasp and lean in. But she wasn't real to me anymore. She was just a character in a story about the importance of truth and consequences. I ran into her once, 3 years after her release, in the grocery store. She'd gained weight, looked tired, wore clothes from Target instead of designer labels. She saw me, froze, then tried to smile. "Anna, hi, it's been a while." "Has it?" I kept walking, didn't break stride. "I'm doing better. I have a real job now. I'm making payments. That's great. Excuse me, I have shopping to do." I walked away and didn't look back. Heard her call my name once, weakly, then give up. Tyler found me in the produce section. "Was that Haley?" "Yeah." "You okay?" "I'm perfect." And I was. Because I'd learned the most important lesson. You don't owe forgiveness to people who hurt you. You don't owe second chances to people who destroyed their first one. You don't owe anything except honesty to yourself. Haley would spend the rest of her life paying off debts she'd never fully repay, rebuilding trust she'd never fully restore, living with consequences that would never fully fade. Her parole didn't end for another 8 years. Her restitution payments would continue until she was 50. Her relationship with our family would never be what it was. And I would spend the rest of my life free from her manipulation, her lies, her drama, free to build something real, something earned, something honest. Last month, I received a letter, not from Haley, from Cassandra. Short, handwritten, careful. "Anna, I've been in therapy for a year now, working through everything that happened. My therapist helped me see how much we failed you by enabling your sister. How we taught you that honesty was less valuable than keeping the peace. How we punished you for telling the truth. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. But I wanted you to know I finally see it. I finally see you. Love, Mom." I read it twice. Then I put it in a drawer and went back to my life. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday I'd rebuild something with my parents. Maybe. But I didn't owe them that. Just like I didn't owe Haley forgiveness or second chances or sympathy. I owed myself peace. And I'd found it. Grandma Evelyn passed away last spring, peaceful and comfortable, surrounded by family. She left everything to me and Mark. Her house, her savings, her possessions. The will explicitly stated, nothing for Haley Morrison, who forfeited her inheritance through her criminal actions. Even in death, Grandma had the last word. I sold her house and put the money in a trust for my future children, teaching them the lessons Haley had never learned. That integrity matters, that actions have consequences, that family means nothing without honesty. I drove past my old family home last week. New owners had repainted it, added a fence, changed everything. It looked nothing like the place where Haley had built her house of lies. Good. Let it be something new. Something better. I'm 31 now, department head at the hospital, married to someone who loves me for exactly who I am, building a life with no stolen money, no designer facades, no Instagram performances.